that way. But I want to kind of move on because there's a few different points to be made here in terms of the Bitcoin's ultimate bull case and what could be the stumbling blocks there. So let's talk about the Wall Street games, the naked short selling, the ability for Wall Street for years now. As was documented this week in the financial press, Merrill Lynch, which is a subsidiary now of Bank of America, has been involved in a criminal racket to manipulate the price of precious metals. This is something we've talked about for years. Now it's fully documented in the public domain. How do we stop that from being the fate of Bitcoin? Because you've got Wall Street involved now, the institutions are involved, the futures contracts are involved. Where do we stand on that, Tuur?
Well, I think that there's always going to be some degree of manipulation, because there's an information asymmetry in any market. I do think if you want to manipulate a market in a big way, you need to own the asset to really kind of shake things around. And so far, Bitcoin ownership has been very concentrated in early believers and things like that. People are really invested in it for the long term. So I don't think that's a big problem right now. I think long term, the way to tackle or prevent serious shenanigans is again, to make to emphasize auditability and to pursue proof of reserves and things like that, where you can see that if there is a claim on an asset like Bitcoin, that you can, at least to the public, prove that there are no overlapping claims. I think cryptography is probably going to come up with some ways to do that.
Right, overlapping claims, which is how these manipulation schemes work. In the UK, for example, they have what's called infinite rehypothecation, so the same asset can be loaned out an infinite number of times. There's a rule in the US that prevents that from being more than 140% of the asset, but that's why almost every country outsources their financial fraud to the UK. So every major scandal we've seen, whether it's AIG, Lehman Brothers, Bernie Madoff, you can go right down the list, they all have their nexus in the City of London because it is the most favorable regulatory environment for racketeering and fraud. The proof of keys concept, which is Trace Mayer and Caitlin Long, if you pull out the base layer of take delivery of your keys, to me this seems an effective way to stop the rehypothecation scheme. Jimmy, your thoughts?
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and this is one of the great things about Bitcoin, is that it is a bearer asset. You don't have to keep it in a bank, and the burdens of security aren't quite as high as like a bar of gold. I mean, this is how fractional reserve banking started. Was, well, you know, there was one place where everybody kept their gold, and they would just essentially print more gold through these bills and so on. By being your own bank and making that user experience really good, I think we can make the case that's something that everyone's going to have to get used to. People aren't used to, having like a giant bar of gold that's like worth $1 million in their house. This is something that's kind of a shift in mentality, because this used to be a common thing, I think, fiat money, where people had to like sort of control their own wealth and stuff like that. We're used to outsourcing all of that, right? Like leaving it at the bank and having some way to get it back. Now we're really getting into an era of personal responsibility where you have to keep your keys and make sure that you know what to do with it. There's certainly like stuff around UX and stuff like that will help. But I mean, everyone I know, when they're having to move their Bitcoin, like they get the cold sweats. It doesn't matter if you're a core dev or somebody that just came in. Like, what if I screw up? What if I do something wrong and I lose all this money? Well, I think part of that is good for you, right? In a sense, because you learn responsibility, and like people are sort of geared to not like that, but that's where like a lot of the fractional reserve and all these games come in, is that they're willing to give up control in order to not feel that.
I think another way in which reliability can be improved upon, and is already, is this whole idea that with Bitcoin you can do collaborative custody. So you can basically unbundle. You don't have to trust one third party to hold all your keys. You can have a multi-signature wallet and basically decide to trust different entities in different ways, and that way have much more reliable access to your assets.
Right. I think this latest rally we've seen a very interesting situation. There was a huge short position of Bitcoin leading up before the rally, and I think as part of the Wall Street reality and realization is that they are exposed to upside moves, that they are
beast.
Let's talk about the Bitcoin dominance. Okay, we're talking about the ultimate bull case for Bitcoin. One way to look at that is to say, okay, to what degree does Bitcoin dominate the coin market cap table? And during the height of the altcoin season, it got down to 30%, 33%. We're back at 62, 63%. It started off obviously near 100%. It was hovering around 80% for a long time. That's a good view into dominance of this coin. Where is that going toward?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this pretty consistently since 2013. I think Bitcoin is going to have long-term 80%, 80, 90% market dominance. And that's just because of the network effect of money. Like, the more adoption Bitcoin has, the larger the firewall around it, the mining basically to protect it, the more secure solutions there will be, the more fraud detection technologies will exist, et cetera, et cetera. There may be some niches that, investors always want to hedge, so there may be some other assets they want to own that are also in the crypto sphere that could be, in that 10, 20%. But so, yeah, long-term, 80, 90%. Another thing I want to point out is that the current way of measuring the market prominence of a cryptocurrency is market cap, which is basically take the total supply and you multiply by the price. But that's very easily gameable, right? We can create, max coin and decide that you're selling me 50,000 for $1, but then the total supply is in the trillions. All of a sudden we have a very large market cap, and we're but obviously we're not making a dent into Bitcoin's dominance. So I think that market cap should be adjusted for the real use of a blockchain. I think there's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there that are basically way too dominant, or perceived as way too large.
You mentioned max coin. There is a max coin.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, it was launched in 2014, and during a period when there was a lot of experimentation. A couple of students came on the show. They launched this coin. It was a project, and it had certain attributes that it was SHA-3 instead of SHA-256, et cetera, and it had an interesting hashing algorithm, and that was part of the huge wave of these coins. And Bitcoin dominance shrunk, and there was a lot of talk about coins doing some different things, and it was an interesting period. But it seems that we're now at a post-altcoin period where all those experiments are being, you can actually do that on Bitcoin, and that dominance is going to go up, Jim.
Yeah, so first of all, the metric I think is very flawed. I mean, you have stuff in there that's like Tether or Paxos coin and like USDC and stuff like that, which is all fully backed stuff. It's not really a cryptocurrency, right? Like that's a representation of the dollar in like digital form. So that should really be taken off. The other thing is that really the liquidity is what matters for this stuff. So I think this is where we need better measurements, because a lot of these coins might have a giant market cap, but it's not really liquid. And as soon as like $1 million worth of it hits the market, it like immediately falls by a significant amount. So there's that aspect. But I think what you said, Max, about alt season sort of like going by the wayside, we're finding that a lot of these altcoins are centralized. They're not really delivering on their premises, especially ICOs. So as we see that, the use case for these things was almost entirely speculation. But as these quote-unquote utility tokens show no actual utility, the speculative value is going to essentially go to zero. So the dominance index, I think, goes much, much higher, and goes towards 80, 90% like sort of.
Right. There's only so many days you can look at the trends on coin market cap price in Bitcoin and see that everything's red except Bitcoin. After a while, you're like, forget it.
Those are the best days, aren't they?
Well, we've had a lot of them in a row now, and I think people are going to be like, the liquidity dries up on these altcoins. It goes into Bitcoin. And so let's jump to a use case for Bitcoin that came to my attention in the last 2 years, and I think it's really fascinating. I'm talking to the folks at Abra, which is a fantastic app. You can buy and sell stocks from around the world, and it's all collateralized by Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the operating system of the app. It's the base currency. It's a unit of account. It's the end game for any currency or money. It's right there today with Abra. And so the demand is collateral. This seems to me a huge potential and
Yeah, so I think we're seeing a huge sort of market for this sort of thing. We're seeing a lot of lending platforms and stuff, and this is to be expected because we know Bitcoin's a very good store of value. And if it's a good store of value, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to demand it as collateral because you know that's going to store value versus almost anything else. So that seems to be the direction that we're heading in with